Hey, buddy. Michael from Miami. How are you?
Michael from Miami. Long time no hear from.
Congratulations on your success. Tough to get through, you guys, but always enjoy it. I really do. You know, it's funny. We've been, 10 years listening to you. Patron for that long.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
There are, no, thank you for the entertainment. You know, it's funny. I don't get, because of my day-to-day life, we don't get the kind of viewpoint you guys usually bring out on a regular basis. And while I don't agree with everything, you know, that's what friends do, I do appreciate the platform. And it's galling that a mouth breather like Joe Rogan, you know, a WWF guy who basically showed up, or sorry,
MMA.
WWE is
UFC guy. My bad. Sorry.
Well,
you know, it gets this kind of pub for being essentially accidentally stupid. I mean, I know that's where the battle's being fought now. Mainstream media has lost its ability to influence people, and the fights now are in the Steven Crowder and Joe Rogan areas to try to get some of those people, I think, to try to, you know, change their philosophies. But, I mean, congratulations on being able to identify those arenas before most people do.
Well, I mean, I think that's there are people who get sort of like, why are you talking about this? And I think that's.
Well, I'm like that, but I understand.
Yeah.
It took me a while to figure it out, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's basically it. It's because this is, you know, he's got 11 million viewers, and the people who are watching CNN, the people who are watching MSNBC, the people who are watching Fox, for the most part, are settled.
Right, they're locked in.
And
let me ask you, especially Emma and Matt. By the way, very, very cool that you guys are totally sports heads. I love it, by the way. We've talked about this before. But here's the thing. Is your generation, I know you guys are exceptional because you guys are smarter than the average, you know, 25-year-old because you're more aware of it and you want to be. But do you think people can be influenced in your generation based on what Sam's trying to do in the influencing of these alternative media platforms? Is that really going to work?
I hope so. I mean, I think we've gotten calls that say that is the case. But I mean, I know somebody who's like been radicalized by Rogan on COVID stuff for sure. So I think the inverse is definitely possible. Just depends on where you're looking.
I hope you're right, because, I mean, the other thing is, you know, influencing is one thing, but Sammy and I are older, you know, especially me. It's about elections, and this is what makes it so infuriating, is that the ability of the left to define themselves is always taken over by, as Sam correctly identified, those ridiculously greedy, idiotic consultants. I mean, I don't have to tell you what's going on down here. We're in the belly of the beast. You know what's going on. I mean, it's just DeSantis is going to win by 5 to 7 points over whoever he runs against. Rubio's up by 9 to 11 over Val Demings, who's got a nice resume, but I've told you that before, that she's just not going to win statewide, especially on the, you know, not on the on the platform she's running on. It's just not going to happen. I hope I'm wrong, but you know, the Mike Pence thing, you mentioned that earlier. Why did he decide to make this decision now? Well, one man's opinion. I think he read the tea leaves. He's not going to get the Trump voters. He sees where DeSantis is positioning himself as the alternative. He wants to be the alternative, and the only way he can do that is to try to blunt some of the force that DeSantis is getting on his own with the publicity he's getting. I don't think it's going to work.
No, I don't think so either.
I
think you're right. I think it's got to be some iteration of that anyways. But
I mean, look, you know what the consultants are like. They're horrible, right? We agree. They're terrible. They're locked in their ridiculously tiny world, and they don't know shit from shinola about what goes on in these states, and they try to, you know, figure out a one size fits all. Val Demings could work. She could win. You know how she'd win, Sammy? She could go there and say, I don't want you to work for $10 an hour. He does. I want you to have universal health care. I want you to have an opportunity to go to college. He doesn't want you to. But they don't do that.
Right.
They sit there with this idiotic nonsense about arguing on crime and arguing about the border, and they get dragged into their spheres of influence. And it's just maddening. I don't even pay attention to half of what she says. Nikki Fried's the same way when she's running against DeSantis, if she's going to get the nomination, which she probably isn't.
I mean, I agree with you. It is completely like, to use a basketball analogy, it's like you're trying to run and you're a post-up team. I don't know if that still exists in modern basketball, but that's basically it, or vice versa. Appreciate the call, Michael.
All right, folks, take care.